Going on, everybody? Grim Repair here. Today I'm going to show you how to change the rear pads and rotors on your Kia Soul. If this video helps you out, be sure to give it a like. There'll be links down below to all the parts and tools used in the video. Tools and parts you're going to need are pads, rotors, a jack stands, brake parts cleaner, caliper grease, a 14mm, one of these engine cleaning wire wheels, a way to compress the brake pistons. I'm using one of these. A couple flathead screwdrivers. I'm going to probably use a pair of vice grips if something gets too stuck. Hammer, impact screwdriver, and some rags. And a 21mm to remove the lug nuts, and some anti-seize. First thing we're going to do is loosen the lid on the brake reservoir. And if you don't have an impact, you're going to have to loosen the lug nuts before you jack the vehicle up. But since I have an impact, I'm going to jack it up first. And I'm just jacking it up right here under the rear spring. Going to slide the jack stand right under here. Next, we're going to take our impact screwdriver, put it on loosen, and we're going to remove these screws here that hold the rotor to the hub. And these are just here to hold it on while it goes down the assembly line. You don't have to put them back on. I'm going to, just 'cause. They make it a little easier to put back together when the rotor sits flush against the hub. All right, now we're going to take a 14mm and we're going to remove the 2 caliper bolts. And we're going to slide the caliper off and rest it over here. Don't let it dangle by the hose. Then you're going to take a 14mm and remove the 2 caliper mounting bracket bolts. This top one here is longer and it has to go in at the top. Otherwise, if you put it in at the bottom, it's going to scrape the rotor and it won't spin easily. So keep track of those. Slide this off. And there's a little rubber thing here on the old rotor. You're going to use a flathead to get that out. And what this does is it opens up a window that lets you adjust the emergency drum brake that is inside of here. Because our new rotor, this is going to be a little bit thicker just because it's not wore out. We may have to loosen it a little bit. All right, this is stuck on there, so we're going to get a hammer. Since we're replacing it, who cares if we bang it off? And here's that adjusting wheel down here that I was talking about. You go one way and it tightens up, it spreads it out, making this tighter. You go the other way and it'll be looser. So we're going to loosen it a little bit, and we can adjust it where we want it once we get it back together. All right, before we pull this out, we want to make sure it's the same size as the old one, and it is. So we're going to pull it out. Now this comes with a grease coating on it to keep it from rusting while it sits on the shelf. So you're going to want to take your brake parts cleaner and clean it up. Otherwise, you're not going to stop right. On both sides. There we go. Spray this. take a little bit of anti-seize. Put it around the hub here so that the rotor doesn't stick and get rusted on. Just a small amount. Now we're going to put this back on. We're going to line up where our bolts went. Right there. Go ahead and put those back in. All right, now we're gonna rotate this hole down here to where that adjuster was. And we're going to adjust it out. And that feels pretty good. You want it just barely scraping. I'm gonna go ahead and put that rubber boot back in. All right, now we're gonna take the pads out. This one does not have a warning bar on it. This is the outside pad. This one does. It's the inside pad. And you wanna make sure you got the right side, because driver and passenger side, the warning bar is on the opposite side. Because our pads came with new clips, we're gonna pull these out and replace those. All right, now we're gonna pull these caliper slides out. We're gonna pull these dust boots out. Put some brake parts cleaner in there. Clean them out with our wire brush. Set it down like that so that it can drain out. Now we're going to put some caliper grease on these slide pins. Pop these rubber boots back in. Slide in the slide pins. Twist them around, get the lube good and spread out. Now we're going to pop new clips in. That and just pop right in. Kind of swing down this thing here. Like that. The warning bar pad goes on the inside. Non-warning bar pad goes on the outside. Pad material facing the rotor. The rounded edge on the outside. All right, remember, the longer bolt goes on top. tighten them back up. They're 14 millimeters. Now we're going to slide the pads in. Just like that. And now we got to compress the caliper piston. Slide it over the pads. Put the caliper bolts back in. Don't go crazy tight on these, but you know, get them tight. I'll put the torque specs up on the screen if I can find them. And now we're going to put the wheel back on. Get all the lug nuts started by hand so you don't cross thread anything. Now you're going to tighten them in a crisscross pattern to the vehicle manufacturer's torque specs. Then we're going to remove the jack stand. Lower the vehicle. Now you're going to do the same thing on the other side. After you do that, you're going to tighten up your brake master cylinder lid. Before you drive off, make sure you pump the brakes till they're firm or the car won't stop right. And that's it. High five, you did it. Thanks for watching.